Hey gang, Chris Angel coming at you for another episode of Marketing for the Rest of Us. Today we're talking about no map, no money. No map, no money. So marketing was really hard for me for a long time. That's why I tell you guys to draft on all of my failures so that you don't have to make the same failures that I did. But it wasn't for lack of trying. Maybe that's the same for you. It's not for lack of trying. We do all sorts of things, exercises, books, courses, whatever. It's not that we don't do the work, but there's something that just didn't click for me in, for example, one of the exercises that is common in marketing is to create your avatar. Who is your avatar? And this is sort of like a composite of, or a description of your ideal client. So you could say their age, maybe you give them a name. You kind of build out this profile of somebody who would be sort of the ideal client. And we call that your avatar. I did these exercises of who my avatar was, but something still didn't quite connect for me. And so I would find myself not knowing what to say. In fact, what happened was, and my background was in real estate. So if I go way back, I was trying to help after I stepped out of being in real estate as an agent and as a CEO in real estate, I actually stepped into coaching. But what I started to feel like everybody was telling me was that agents just want leads. And so I felt squeezed by people's advice to talk about getting leads in my marketing, when that wasn't really what I wanted to talk about. And everybody else was talking about leads. So what was I supposed to say? Like, no, I'll get you more leads. Or no, you can, instead of 10x your business, you can 12x your business. You can 12.5x your business. I mean, it was this weird competition or this weird thing of like helping people with something I wasn't interested in helping them with, right? Like getting leads. Leads was not the conversation I was trying to have. And yet I get that people need leads, but this is why not being clear on who I was talking to made it hard to do marketing. Marketing is impossible when you don't know who you're talking to. How would you possibly know what to say in such a way that it resonates with the person over there on Facebook, on YouTube, in a blog post, wherever, especially in the middle of all the noise? So how do we solve this? How did I solve this? Well, I learned a couple things. One, I learned about the hero's journey, right? In the hero's journey, you start to figure out like you can actually start to create a map of someone's journey, right? And it helped me to look at my own map. If I looked at like the first 10, 12 years in business, like if I looked at what that stage of life was for me, I was just trying to figure myself out. I was trying to understand business. How do I produce a result? How do I talk to people? And then there was the next piece of the map where I started to see how do I actually, not just how do I produce a result, but now that I'm producing results, how do I take this to the next level, right? And so then there was that piece of getting good at it. And then there was this wall. I hit a wall where it wasn't fulfilling for me. There was no meaning. There was no purpose in it for me. And so I started to try to find answers elsewhere. Right? I started to try to scratch an itch that was hard to scratch. I couldn't scratch it, right? I was like, maybe it's not this kind of real estate I should sell. Maybe I should sell that kind of real estate. And then it was, maybe I shouldn't have this career. Maybe I should have that career. And then it was, maybe I shouldn't do this in marketing. I should do that in marketing. Like, look, it's just over and over. You're trying to find an answer to, and nothing seems to fit. And so in that space, you start to get cynical about all the answers you're consuming. At some point, you're like, nope, I've read this before. Nope, I've seen this before. Nope, this doesn't work. And then it happens. You step into something new. You make a decision. You find a piece of advice, something that creates an entirely new reality, a new paradigm, a new way to do business, a new way to live your life. For me, this is the second thing. So the first was the hero's journey. The second thing was on top of that, then learning how to speak to my tribe, regardless of industry, but to speak to my tribe based on a more heart-centered approach, a more heart-centered message. I realized that, and I learned this from my coach at the time was Jeffrey Van Dyke, and his course was called Tribal Marketing, and it was all about how do we actually look at our own wounds in life? As human beings, we get wounded growing up. And those wounds in life actually prepare us for our purpose and our important work. And as I started to think about this, I'm like, oh, this is the conversation I want to have with the world. This is who I want to be speaking to. I want to be speaking to people who don't want to be better real estate agents and don't want to be better whatever they're trying to be in their career. Who I want to talk to are the people who are ready to redeem their life's experience for something that matters, for something that means something to them. And that was so clarifying, because for a long time I was creating the wrong message for the wrong people, because I wasn't clear about, one, the journey we take in life, and then two, on that journey, what specific people am I talking to? Like, what conversation do I want to have, and who am I having it with? Some of you are still trying to have an old conversation, and that conversation doesn't fit you anymore. You've outgrown that conversation. So maybe here's where we start. Let's make this actionable. The first place you can look is like, what conversation do you really want to be having with the world? Because you may have outgrown the conversation you've been having. Now, inside of that, you have to also look at, though, who do I want to be having this conversation with? Because you can't just go off into like, okay, I really want to have this conversation and then share that message with the world, but be sharing it to the wrong people. Because if you're sharing it to the wrong people in the wrong way, then it doesn't matter how great the message, how aligned the message is for you and your soul. It won't matter. It won't matter. Because nobody will be there to listen. So one, figure out what conversation do you really want to have with the world? What is an expression of your soul? Two, then you have to start to figure out, so who is this message best suited for? Who do I really want to inspire to this next season of life? And once you do that, I want you to start to map their journey, start to figure out like, well, where am I talking to them at on this journey, right? Am I trying to help them down here at the beginning of the journey to just figure out their life skills and whatever? Or am I trying to talk to people up here who are cynical now about all the advice they've been given, and they actually want to step into a brand new possibility of their life, whatever conversation that is for you? It could be around health. It could be around relationships. It could be around money. It could be around business. But you, in this tribe, you typically are ready for people who want to do something meaningful in their life. And you're not so interested in just building basic skills. You actually want to have conversations with people that matter, that have impact. And so the question just becomes, well, who is that? Who are these people in life? And now as you start to think about their journey, what you need to hone in on are, where are they stuck? Where are they stuck on that journey? Because there are different places, different sticking spots along the journey. And as you get honed in on this spot up here, right? They've lived their life. Now they're cynical. People have lied to them. They're street smart. Like everybody's Facebook ads are in their news feed. So they see all sorts of people talking about all sorts of stuff, and it just doesn't faze them. So you have to start to get very specific in how you speak to these people at that cynical stage of life so that they know that you're for real. So, without a map of your message and who your people are and what stage of life they're in, without that map, it's very hard to invite them into a conversation that could actually help them, and a conversation that would support them through your services. Your services, your product or service or programs, I'm assuming, are designed to actually help them step into what's next. But you have to have a message that meets them where they're at. And so you need to be able to map their journey to get them there, right? To speak to them there. And then create offers along that path, create offers in programs and services along that map, that path that they're on, to support them at each stage as they grow. That's it in a nutshell, right? This is the kind of work, I taught this today in week 2 of the 6-week Groundswell Method Intensive. I'm fresh off of it today. It's fresh in my mind. That's why I'm sharing it. If you'd like to learn more about the Groundswell Method Intensive, where we start to dive into the conversation you're leading in the world, the map that you need to draw out of your people, about your people, in order to create messages and offers along that map, you can get started at my free course called Marketing for the Rest of Us, the course. Go to groundswellmethod.com. You can start that course. It's only 90 plus minutes, 99 minutes, I think, just over five videos, right? And you can complete that tonight before you go to bed. And that will give you a sense of what we cover in the 6-week program. So go to groundswellmethod.com to start that free course. And then if you are interested in the 6-week program, you can apply for our next one coming up. Thanks so much for joining me today. I will see you tomorrow.